Welcome to the live stream. This is BeautyBubble, bringing you a new voice on the case June 11th. This will be our 11th episode focused on Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, a missing teen. He's been missing since February, late February of last year, 2024, from Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's in the Sumner County region of the world. And we will continue now. This will be the second bit of listening to a interview with Darren, I want to get his name right, Sheriff Darren Hall. And Sheriff Darren Hall would end up being Sebastian Rogers' boss of Davidson County. He was also a sheriff, or is a sheriff, from Davidson County. So we're just going to pick up at the 6-minute mark thereabouts. And before we do that, we always make sure that we can hear our voice. And we can. See how quick that is? No reason to ask anybody if you can hear you. All right, so let's get going. We'll bring up the stream. Add to the stage. You may see an ad the moment that I hit play, but we'll just kind of let it go.
Yes, that the biological father is an officer with us, but and I think he's been here about a year or so. But other than that, I don't know much of the relationship. And again,
would he take time off? Would you give him time off?
Sure. I mean, and I would assume if again, this is a weird situation because it's not him saying, "Hey, I need off. My son is missing." That's not happened yet that I know of. But and we have 1,000 employees, so it's a little hard and hard for us to even know that. We have a woman who handles our retention, basically works with people who are going through all sorts of issues, and she did put it out. I understand yesterday to our some of our folks to let them know that he is, actually the biological father. So that was all brewing yesterday. We had folks who were up there, like I said, with their dogs. We've had other folks who are kind of in crews or that are potentially going to help. And it just kind of depends on what we're doing and what we're looking for. And we always get in the situation of, are we on the clock paying people to go on our teams, or are we doing volunteer work? And it's just kind of if it's in the county, usually it's on the payroll. It just gets a little hairy as to and we're short staffed, and we're paying overtime here to send people up there, and it's just hard to do.
So this guy is a sensible person, right? He's held very high positions, knows a lot about the culture of being a sheriff. And, he's trying to explain that, they've got everybody that's on it, that can be on it, that wants to be on it, they're on it. And this is under great pressure. They're already short-staffed, is what he's saying. And he has 1,000 sheriffs in Davidson County. And one sheriff just so happens to be the father of a missing child who does not live with him. I don't even know if it could be really considered co-parenting. I know that there was a parenting plan, but this is not a primary custodian. And they put the word out, and the sheriffs, they're held to their own duty. This did not happen in their county. He just simply lives there. Might as well, come from Mendocino County. And they're doing the very best that they can. We didn't really hear this part of things, though, over the months. Let's keep going.
Decide exactly what's the right thing to do. You want to be a good Samaritan, you want to help, and we do a lot of that. But it would be wrong for me to sit here and say we send people every time someone's missing. We kind of wait and see what our rules need to be. And, Amber Alert stuff was going off, of course, all over the place. So
we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall's with us. We're going to get to your phone calls in a moment. I just had one quick follow-up question with regard to this missing child in Sumner County. You've handled in the past, or your office has, and your deputies, missing children cases, along probably in partnership with the police department. What is it, and how do you approach it, with a period of time? Right now, the thinking is this child, autistic, perhaps wandered away. But as more time passes, when do you start considering the possibility of other options?
Yeah, and I don't have expertise.
Again, general. I know you're not involved in Sumner.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking back as we were waiting to come back on, but I remember, this was a long time ago, I remember our staff going out searching for Janet March's body. I mean, I'm just going through stories back, and of course the silver alerts. You have a lot of different times where there's people that, you know, I think personally that always worries me when you have someone.
He does do something interesting, though, that maybe it's part of the region of the world, but he'll start something and then he won't make a conclusive. So he'll go about 90% into a sentence and then he'll drop it off and you'll never hear the rest of it.
Who is very elderly, who may not know exactly how to get back in, you know, very unlikely that foul play is in that situation as much as it is just worry that they're lost and can't get. In the children thing, to me, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, how can this individual be, you know, alive and functioning, you know, at some stage of just the natural needs for an individual. And so, you know, I guess I always think of it this way. It's just extra sets of eyes, bodies walking, talking, asking in the streets. Our staff, just like everyone else, you know, would like to volunteer and help. That's what we do. We're usually a part of a large team sweeping areas. And, you know, but again, you know, look how big an area. And if you don't have some idea of where you're looking in some simple version of what you're doing, it's incredibly difficult to find.
And entirely possible that the child could have wandered. But I mean, I'm just wondering, to me, and in my career following this, I just don't believe that a child completely vanishes without a trace and is never found. Okay, meaning on their own. And that's my take, is that the longer, and I'm not referring to the Sumner case, it's still early enough that I don't go there. But I'm telling you, if there's no trace of this child found in a week, or even this time next week, I will have serious questions about whether or not foul play was involved. Because even if the child is not alive, eventually maybe you find, oh my gosh, wandered into.
So this is also another interesting point, because the parents became enamored with social media, and social media became enamored with them. And no one could ever just take a journalistic view of things. And Nick Barris, he's experienced, and, you know, he's trying to just kind of do deductive reasoning, right? That what else could have happened other than foul play? And he's not being a gossip or a drama monger or anything like that. He's just doing what's normal. But with social media, we had to go overboard. We had to blame the parents. And then we had to be an underbelly support system for the father. And I don't think, I haven't run across anybody really that's covered the case that has truly been able to remain fair in their reasoning. It's okay to have an opinion, but it should always be couched with reasonableness and a gentle way of reasoning things through and out. We've often heard from the community that the worst thing, and yet, you know, one of the most powerful things that you can do as a entertainer is to get close to your source. So that's what we did. And when I say we, the greater community, that's what I saw happen. I'm pretty sure that if you're listening, that's what you saw happen. And I think that it clouded our ability to be reasonable.
Body of water. We found his body. Oh, how tragic. And you pull him, he wandered in there. Or he fell down a ravine and killed himself. Or something like that. But short of finding anything, that's why I think someone was involved to hide a situation.
Well, right. I mean, at some point, you know, I'm like you. I don't understand how someone, you know, that is not sophisticated, and I'm talking about in living, you know, in a survivalist or something like that. That's not the case. I mean, how are you going to live, and where are you going to live in today's world where, you know, I don't believe you'd have the skills to accomplish that. Therefore, something tragic or bad is going to happen, or it feels like that as the days.
And as was said yesterday, he had no skills. And the parents, once again, did not, you know, oh no, he could swim down a creek, he could swim in a pond, he could, you know, catch his own fish and eat and cook on his own. And, you know, he had no skills. So, like with all of that, still unable to be honest about who is Sebastian.
Go by. And I'm like you would think the body would be found if it was a fall or some tragic event in a reasonable area around the house. That's not hard to do. Once that is exhausted, then you have to go to, I think, the next step, which is foul play, and the body is potentially hidden or gone. And I'm just like everyone else. I mean, I can't fathom what that feels like if you genuinely don't know what happened to your child. I just can't imagine what that would feel like. On the other hand, it would be very difficult for me to see a 15-year-old child be able to pull off hiding from people for extended period of time. That's just a very unlikely situation. But I wish and hope for the best. I'm like you. I watch these stories with kind of a parental eye, and then some part of the job I'm in, and then just a citizen who you're sitting there going, man, what in the world?
And when you do go to the idea of foul play, I guess, and I've talked about this in the past, say with the Joe Clyde Daniels case, which in some ways is similar. He was a much younger child, but that what you'll do when you make that transition to maybe looking into the possibility of foul play is then you vet anyone close to, from the parents to the neighbors, to a friends, to the possibility somehow, some way that there is a stranger that maybe picked him up. That's what it is. All options are on the table, correct?
I would say yes. I think the other thing about that is that begins to take a long time. I mean, a lot of these cases are years. I mean, look at some of this to solve. Once it becomes a potential criminal activity, everything changes. I mean, it is trying to prove and trying to get interviews and trying to get, it's years and years. I mean, sometimes before all that, and that's what.
Oh, listen to that. When it does become criminal, then that's when they start doing all the interviews and such. And they have refused to assign this as a criminal act. Is that true? Or have we gone back and forth on that? At this point in time, it was not. So I guess it will take us for a while to get through all the interviews. I had thought that there were some rumblings that it was, and then it got pulled back by social that it wasn't.
But right now, it's trying to hope that the kid is alive and can be saved. That's first. The second part of it is, once you determine or believe it's foul play, everything changes. I mean, from lawyers in the middle of it to potential. The law enforcement capacity is to prove there was a crime.
So often when there is foul play, it does come back to someone who's close to the child. When there's foul play, and again, I'm not saying that's the case here in Sumner County. One other thing I was going to say, these days so many homes, especially in neighborhoods, have Ring cameras and everything else. Would you imagine part of the investigation is if the child is said to have wandered off, going and canvassing all the homes, including, I don't know about the home when he left, to see if there's any video of him walking along the road, and how well they have that covered, and whether or not they see him or not.
That and the other thing is, I don't know his capabilities with phones, but there's so much of that today in the communication systems, and is it completely shut off? Did he have one? Was he using it? When's the last time? Where? Even if it's just him looking on his phone, that's not super hard to figure out anymore. Where is that device? Those things matter, and I don't know the surroundings, but it amazes me that really everything in this country is being videoed somehow. There's an angle to some camera.
You would think there would be cameras, maybe if he wandered down a road or something. That would be part of it, wouldn't it?
Right.
You'd go check to see if there's video?
Sure. I mean, and even if the police aren't doing that, the neighbors are worried. They're trying to help them.
If I lived next door and I had a Ring camera and I heard this, I would go to my camera and say, well, last night, do I see anything?
That's right. And then you would expect, like I said, not even from a criminal investigation, just the kind of the Samaritan and the families around the community are wanting to say, hey, I found this on my video, or even if they didn't tape it, I saw.
But the Samaritans in the community, look at what happened to them. The Samaritans in the community. We had one, Bobby, and then look at what happened to her. Do we know any other Samaritan in that neighborhood, in that community that came forward? So even I think, and I'm watching him, it's this exasperation. The hands are flying around. He's literally shrugging his shoulders over this. This is a veteran, right? And he cannot put it together. It is just so odd. And all the things that they're mentioning, it's almost as though, you check it off, Good Samaritan effort. No. He said something about that if there's no evidence like around the house, and I'm assuming that he's talking about from the house to the 5 mile perimeter, and there's no evidence, I mean, you have to go to foul play. And then once again, shrugging the shoulders, I don't know. Super scary, man.
Saw him walking, or you just think you would feel and hear some of that.
So far, nothing.
Hopefully, yeah.
And that's what we'll see how it plays out. And I hopes and prayers that this child is found.
Okay, so there we go. That was the News Channel 5 piece, and I think I'll go ahead and read the article, New Details into the Family of the Missing 15-Year-Old Boy in Sumner County, and let's see what part of this you guys actually see. Okay, yeah. All right, and we're going to scroll down, and out of Nashville, WTVF, an Amber Alert has been issued by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. This would have been issued February 28th and updated on the same day. For 15-year-old Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers in Sumner County, Sebastian disappeared from his home either late Sunday night or early Monday morning and was reported missing by his family. The teen lives with his biological mother and stepfather. His biological father is also a deputy with the Davidson County Sheriff's Office, according to Sheriff Darren Hall. Despite a massive search effort, crews have not found a trace of the child. Sebastian is about 5 feet 5 inches tall, 120 pounds, and has brown hair and brown eyes, and was wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and glasses. He is autistic and may not be able to return safely without assistance. Authorities upgraded the case from an endangered child alert to an Amber Alert on Tuesday. Typically, Amber Alerts are issued when the child is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death. Amber Alerts are also issued if a child is believed to be the victim of foul play or abducted. It's important to note at this point, authorities have not said there is any evidence of foul play. Anyone with information about Sebastian's whereabouts is encouraged to call, etc., etc. Now, down below, there will be a link to the FBI poster, the updated FBI poster. So down below in the description box, you can grab, and then there's many other tip numbers and ways of calling in your tips. And that is it. So that in 2 days, we got through the News Channel 5 out of Nashville, Nick Barris, and his interview with the sheriff. So we'll go ahead and stop sharing and get out of that. And the next bit of business I thought we would do, and I'm going to go ahead and get into the document. If you have been following the case, the title At Night Media LLC versus Stephanie Joe Trude, aka Barbecue Lady, and other defendants, including Granny's Watching and 50 or more John or Jane Does, that they have been involved in a civil suit that started off as a RICO, and it coalesced and had some harassment claims, all with Sebastian Rogers as the backdrop to the entire thing. I think if you understand that, this was just not, they used Sebastian Rogers as the pinning to proceed on the civil suit, which was an injunction. That injunction was denied, and the anti-SLAPP, which was made part of the co-plaintiff's rebuttal, was granted. And then there was an appeal, and that appeal is now going through. But on the 9th, the original plaintiffs, which are now defendants in the anti-SLAPP, have come forward with their memorandum of law, an answer to the motion and petition for Barbecue Lady to receive her counsel fees, which is part of, they lost the suit, and now, it's the normal thing in law that you then are able to file for your legal fees. So there's 2 documents that were filed. They are available on the Delaware County Public Access API, and you can, I believe this would be document 70, how many? 70 and 70? No, 70, 72 and 73. Yeah, there's 73 documents in the entire suit. So I thought maybe we could read just a little bit of it. There are other creators that go through these documents, and I just don't know how well we can actually read them, but I'll go ahead and present what I have. And we'll do a screen share and go to the download and share and see if in my setup how well it comes out. And I don't know. I don't know if you're really going to be able to see it that well. I can up it on my side, but if I do it too far, then it becomes a little difficult to read. I'm trying to think of how we should do this. I think maybe we're better served to just alerting you that the document is available. And it's the CV 2024-009083 case. And I did put the case number in the comments earlier, but I'll go ahead and I'll do it again. And let me go to the chat and go ahead and put it in. But it is in the chat, the live chat when you go back and watch the replay. So that's what I was reading today. There are 2 documents. This is 21 pages. There's a lot of pages of verification, pages that are verification signatures. And the gist of it, although not an attorney, is that they feel that Barbecue Lady had raised funds to offset her fees, and that she promised if she won her fees back that she would then repay the fees through her winnings, let's say, through her the granting of her fees. So it goes back a little bit about that and trying to kind of make it seem as though that her asking for fees is corrupted by her receiving fees in her legal defense fund. I don't know if there's any case law that was mentioned. That would be really interesting because it's a good argument, but it feels a little as if they want to make it look as though it's kind of a dirty ask. So we'll see if anyone else covers it. If they don't, then we'll come back and we'll go ahead and read through the filings and catch everyone up on the suit as it is in Delco. It's on appeal now, and they're waiting for a couple things to happen both in July, I believe. Once again, I wrote out these things on my X. Now, let's get to the practical parts of the channel. I have a Nightbot, and that Nightbot has a command, and that command is exclamation, the word bubble, and that should release and kick in what would be the social block. I cannot get it to trigger. That's what it's called. Cannot get it to trigger at all. I've done pretty much everything I could. There was a time where this was really easy to do, and I've done 2. There's one called Beauty and there's one called Bubble, and neither one of these are firing off. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Let's see if it works. Thank you, Milk Tea. It's always great to have a wonderful chat that's cooperative. So we'll see what happens. In the day, I used to be able to trigger just about anything, and it was on a timer and blah, 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 and a lot of fun. But being a teeny channel, sometimes maybe they decided to change that as part of their formatting. I'm not really too sure, but there is a Nightbot. We'll get it going, and I thank you very much to the gorgeous chat tonight to help me out on that. Make sure that you also take it from top chat to live chat, and you might be able to scroll back where during the pre-show before we went live, there'll be all sorts of things that I'm writing about, what I'm doing. And so I'm live in the chat before we go live, if you want to check that out. Okay, so that's really it. Let me go ahead and bring the legal docs down and stop sharing that and bring up the Sebastian's poster. And let's see here. And yes, I have a special place for it, and it seems to work out really well when we're doing the conclusion. This is the FBI poster. It's a newly published poster that has all the details. What I'm going to do is take the description, the remarks, and all of the details in the tip line and toss that down into the description box, clean up the fair use part, so that'll all be a little bit cleaner for everyone. And with that, I want to thank you very much. This has been BeautyBubble, a new voice on the case, June 11th, 2025, focused for the entire month of June. We're almost halfway done, which is insane to think about. And on the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers disappearance, vanishing from Hendersonville, Tennessee. And with that, we will see you tomorrow. I can't tell you what time. We just know that it will happen tomorrow. And also look for the playlist for the first 11 episodes that we've done. And I want to say thank you. And we will leave his poster up as we go ahead and put the countdown clock to say thank you so much. Bye-bye now.